So, Frank, I don't work at the FBI, but if I did, these aren't dots on some Trump derangement syndrome sort of delusion, but there's a direct line in black and white. Roger Stone dedicates his book in ink to the Branch Davidians. The Branch Davidians are viewed as martyrs by declared groups who celebrate them in black and white, in ink, or online, the Three Percenters and the right-wing militias. The right-wing militias proudly organize their participation of their members in the January 6th insurrection. Donald Trump rolls footage of January 6th, puts his hand over his heart, and pays tribute to them, redefining patriotism in America with a direct line, again, not a conspiracy theory, in black and white, from Stone to the Branch Davidians, to the militia groups, to the insurrection, to the likely Republican nominee for president in 2024. What do you think is happening inside the FBI to protect us from that direct line?
Wow. Yeah, I've had the same thought myself. First, let me dispel any notion that anything significantly changed in terms of how the FBI can operate post January 6th. I think many people, if you ask them, hey, you think things have gotten better in terms of addressing domestic terrorism after January 6th? You think people changed the rules? There's no evidence of that whatsoever. We still have no domestic terrorism law. And I don't believe, unless there was a secret memo from DOJ, I don't believe the guidelines, the operational guidelines for the FBI have changed one iota with regard to the domestic terrorism program. And recall, after 9/11, an international terrorism attack, we created an entire institution called the Department of Homeland Security, and we passed the Patriot Act and laws regarding supporting international terrorism. So they have a tough job. Yes, they're aware. I know they're aware. They're watching. They're monitoring. And boy, do I hope that Special Counsel Jack Smith pressed record this weekend, Saturday night, for the Waco rally, because I hope he tries to introduce into evidence. I don't know if he'll succeed, but I hope he tries to introduce into evidence former President Trump playing footage of January 6th. At his rally. And I hope he gets into evidence statements like death and destruction with regard to the case. I hope he gets into evidence the picture of Trump about to swing a baseball bat at Alvin Bragg's head. I hope all of that gets into evidence for mindset and context, because that's what Trump is doing. And I am pleased that John Heilman has drawn that line for us that many people are unaware of what happened at Waco and the bombing of the Oklahoma City Federal Building 2 years later by a guy named Timothy McVeigh, who was simply there at Waco observing what happened and tried to get retribution when he blew up the federal building with a daycare center in it. So one has to ask, with regard to what's the FBI thinking about right now, one question is, who was at Waco Saturday night in the crowd? Who's the next Timothy McVeigh that's going to act on the rhetoric and the incitement of violence of Donald Trump and do something horrible next week, next year, or 2 years from now?